told you the biggest thing standing between you and the life you want, the success, the freedom, the growth, isn't your past, your bank account, or your circumstances. It's your own thoughts. That's right. The most dangerous thing holding you back is living right inside your head. And until you change that, nothing else will change. You are not being held back by your environment, your past, or the people around you. It's not your job, your family, your education, or the lack of money that's stopping you. The real battle is happening in your mind. Every day you wake up and face thoughts that whisper, sometimes scream, reasons why you can't move forward. You're not good enough. You don't have what it takes. You failed too many times. Those thoughts aren't facts. They're fear. And the truth is, fear lives in the mind. It doesn't live in your reality. But because you accept those thoughts as truth, they become the blueprint for how you live. The way you think creates your world. If you believe you're stuck, you start acting stuck. If you believe you don't have options, you stop looking for them. If you believe the best days are behind you, and you stop preparing for what's ahead. And this is how you trap yourself. Not with chains, not with bars, but with your own thinking. You give power to thoughts that never served you. Then you wonder why you feel powerless. You rehearse failure in your head so much, you begin to perform it in real life. Your thoughts become the script, and you play the role you wrote for yourself. But no one else gave you that role. You chose it day after day, thought after thought. The most successful people in the world weren't the smartest, richest, or most talented when they started. They were simply the ones who believed something different about themselves. They dared to challenge the story in their head. They refused to let negative thinking decide their destiny. But some of us sit back and wait for the situation to change before we change our mindset. And that's backwards. The situation won't change until your thinking does. You can get a new job, a new city, new friends. But if your thinking stays the same, your results will too. You cannot outwork a negative mindset. And you can't grain your way through self-doubt without confronting it. You can wake up at 4 a.m., work 16 hours a day, hit the gym, read 10 books a month. But if you still believe deep down that you're not worthy, not capable, not enough, all that effort will hit a wall. And that wall is built from thoughts you allow to grow. It starts with one moment. One moment where you decide to reject the thought that says you're limited. One moment where you confront the mental script and say, I'm not playing that part anymore. One moment where you say, I'm not living in this lie another day. Because when you realize the only real limits are the ones you believe in, everything starts to shift. Your energy changes. Your decisions change. Your outcomes change. But it starts with recognizing that what's blocking you isn't out there. It's in your head. That's the battleground. That's the test. The words you speak to yourself carry more weight than anything anyone else could ever say. That quiet voice in your head, the one that runs all day, every day, is shaping your life. When that voice is negative, when it's full of doubt, fear, and insecurity, it becomes your biggest enemy. Most people don't even realize how much damage they're doing just by the way they talk to themselves. You say things like, I always mess this up, or I'm not smart enough, or this is just who I am. That's not harmless. That's not just venting. That's programming. You are literally training your mind to accept failure, to expect rejection, to settle for less. And every time you repeat it, you reinforce it. That's how powerful your inner voice is. You don't need someone else to tear you down because you do it to yourself every day. And then you wonder why your confidence is low, why your motivation disappears, Why opportunities seem to pass you by? It's because you've convinced yourself that you're not ready, not deserving, not capable. You think it's the world saying no to you. But the truth is, you said no to yourself long before anyone else had the chance. You said no when you decided you weren't good enough to apply, good enough to compete, good enough to lead. That voice in your head told you to stay small, and you listen. Some of you are out here grinding, putting in the hours, making sacrifices, and still not moving forward. It's not because you lack hustle. It's because your mindset is at war with your grind. You can't say, I'm built for this, and in the same breath think, hope I don't fail again. That's mental conflict. That's what holds you back. The world isn't blocking your path. Your thoughts are. You can't soar if you're chained to doubt. You can't grow if you're feeding yourself fear. You can't become the best version of yourself if the only voice you hear is tearing you down. And here's the thing. You don't have to believe every thought you think. Just because it pops into your head doesn't mean it's the truth. That negative voice might sound familiar. It might sound like your own, but it's not your friend. It's the enemy in disguise. It's trying to keep you comfortable, safe, average. Because average is easy. But greatness takes mindset. Greatness takes believing in yourself, even when there's no evidence, even when you failed before, even when nobody's clapping for you. That's the test. The real battle is not out there. It's the quiet moments when no one's watching and you have to decide whether you're going to talk yourself into power or into pity. You've been letting sit in the driver's seat for too long. You've let doubt dictate your pace, your goals, your choices. That has to stop. Your self-talk should be your fuel, not your weight. It should lift you, not limit you. Every time you speak down on yourself, you rob yourself of momentum, of belief, of energy that could be used to build something real. Your mindset is the foundation for everything you do. It sets the limit on how far you go, how hard you push, and how high you rise. People talk about potential like it's some magic force that just shows up and transforms lives. But potential means nothing if your mindset isn't ready to activate it. You could be the most talented person in the room, but if you don't believe you can win, you'll never even try. And if you do try, you'll hold back just enough to stay safe, to stay comfortable, to avoid pain. That's not reaching potential. That's falling in the trap of small thinking. When you believe you're limited and you start creating evidence to support that belief, you don't apply for the promotion. You don't launch the idea. You don't take the risk. Not because you can't, but because your mind already made the decision for you. Your thoughts have already drawn a line in the sand, and you stay behind it, telling yourself it's realistic. But realistic is often just another word for scared. It's a word people use when they've given up on what's possible. And what you believe is possible becomes the boundary of life. There are people, they're right now living your dream life, not because they're better than you, not because they had more help, but because they believed it was possible for them. They didn't see the ceiling you see. They didn't talk themselves out of greatness. They had the same fears, the same doubts, but they made a different decision in their mind. They decided they were going to go after it no matter what. And that decision, that belief, it shifted everything. You don't get to keep thinking small and expect to live big. You don't get to talk down to yourself every day and expect to walk in confidence. That's not how it works. Your mindset is your internal thermostat. It sets the temperature of your life. And you can't perform at 100 degrees when your beliefs are stuck at 60. You'll always find a way to cool yourself back down. That's why some people start winning and sabotage it. That's why some of you get close to the breakthrough and pull back. Your mindset hasn't caught up to your opportunity. You've got to raise your standard, not just in your work ethic, but in your thinking. You've got to believe on a higher level. You got to stop seeing obstacles as dead ends and start seeing them as training grounds. Everything changes when your mind changes. Because when your mindset goes up, your decisions follow. Your habits follow. Your relationships follow. You don't attract more just by wanting more. You attract more by thinking like the version of you who already has it. That version doesn't doubt. That version doesn't shrink. That version doesn't let fear have the final say. That version shows up, takes a shot, and keeps showing up. Not because it's easy, but because the belief is stronger than the barrier. Everything you need to succeed, to grow, to become who you were meant to be, it's already in you. Am I supposed to lie? You don't have to wait for the perfect moment. You don't have to wait for someone to give you permission. You don't have to wait for the right connection, the right timing, or some magical opportunity to fall into your lap. What you're waiting on is already inside you, but your thoughts have convinced you otherwise. Your thoughts tell you that you need something more, something better, something external before you can start. That's the lie. The truth is, unlimited possibilities are not out there somewhere. They begin in your mind and they manifest when you finally decide to unlock what's already in you. Most people spend their whole life searching out themselves for what can only be found within. They chase after approval, money, titles, validation, thinking that when they get it, everything will change. But what really changes your life is the moment you realize you already carry the seed. You already have the raw material for greatness. And I suppose a lie, it's not a question of having enough. It's a question of whether you believe it's there. And if you don't believe it, you won't act on it. If you don't act on it, you'll never develop it. And if you never develop it, it doesn't matter how much potential you started with. It stays buried. You're not waiting on the world is waiting on you. It's waiting on you to stop playing small, to stop hiding, to stop talking yourself out of who you really are. Every excuse, every delay, every hesitation, those are just mental blocks stopping you from accessing what's already yours. You've got ideas you haven't spoken, talents you haven't touched, levels you haven't climbed, not because they're out of reach, but because your mindset hasn't opened the door. You're trying to chase opportunities when you haven't even unlocked your own capacity. You think you're not ready. You think you're not qualified. The fact that the vision is in you means you're qualified. The fact that idea won't leave you means it belongs to you. You don't get those thoughts, those dreams, those sparks of passion for no reason. That's purpose calling. And that's potential knocking. But your thoughts act like gatekeepers. They try to protect you from failure, from pain, from embarrassment. But in doing so, they block your growth. They block your breakthrough. What's inside you was never meant to stay hidden. Your gifts were meant to sit on the shelf. Your story, your strength, your voice, they're not average. And they're not accidental. There's something you bring to the world that nobody else can bring. That's why your possibilities are unlimited. Because they're not based on the outside. They're based on the truth of who you already are. All it takes is for you to tap into it. Believe in it. Use it. What you're capable of is far greater than what you've allowed yourself to imagine. What you believe shapes every part of your reality. It's not just a mindset principle. It's a law of life. The way you see yourself, the way you see the world, and the way you see what's possible becomes the lens through which you operate. Two people can have the same resources, the same time, the same opportunity, and still produce completely different outcomes. Why? Because one believed it could be done and the other didn't. It's not about the outside. It's about the inside out. Belief drives behavior. Behavior drives results. So if you want different results, you don't start with your schedule or strategy or your routine. You start with what you believe. Your belief system is like a filter. When you believe something is possible, your mind starts looking for evidence to support it. You start noticing things that align with that belief. And you start taking actions that push that belief forward. On the flip side, when you believe you're not good enough, not ready, or not qualified, your brain starts collecting reasons why you shouldn't even try. You sabotage opportunities before they can grow. You shrink your actions to match the limits in your mind. You don't give full effort because deep down, you've already decided it won't work. And then when it doesn't, you tell yourself, see, I knew it. But the truth is, it didn't fail because it wasn't possible. It failed because you never fully believed in it. Belief is the switch that turns on your potential. It's the spark that turns plans into movement, that turns intentions into execution. But here's the catch: belief isn't about hype. It's not about yelling affirmations in the mirror for 2 minutes and hoping everything changes. Real belief is about alignment. It means your thoughts, your decisions, your energy, and your habits are all moving in the same direction. It means you don't just say it, you show it. You move like someone who expects to win. You speak like someone who knows they belong in the room. You prepare like someone who's not hoping to succeed, but planning to. There's a reason some people seem unstoppable. It's not because they don't have fear. It's not because they've never faced setbacks. It's because their belief is stronger than their doubt. They feel the fear and they move anyway. They take the hit and they get back up. They lose one day, but their belief in the bigger picture keeps them from quitting. That's the kind of belief that builds empires. That's the kind of belief that changes lives. Not just yours, but the people watching you, counting on you, learning from you. If you don't believe in yourself, no one else will. Not because they don't want to, but because belief is contagious, and so is doubt. People respond to the energy you carry. If you move in insecurity, you'll attract uncertainty. Am I supposed to lie? But when you walk with belief, you start drawing opportunities, people in moments that match the level of confidence you're operating from. If your thoughts created the limits in your life, then your thoughts also have the power to break them. You weren't born with doubt. You weren't born thinking you weren't enough. You weren't born believing that success wasn't for you. Somewhere along the line, you adopted those beliefs. Somewhere between the rejection, the failure, the criticism, and the silence, your mind started to build walls. One brick at a time, one bad experience at a time, your thoughts created a prison. And you didn't even realize it was happening. You started telling yourself, I can't do that. And you believed it. You said, that's not for people like me. And you accepted it. You looked at others winning and thought, I could never be them. And you started living like that was truth. But the truth is, and those limitations weren't built by your circumstances. They were built by your interpretation of those circumstances. The same failure that made someone else stronger made you stop. The same challenge that made someone else grow made you retreat. And the difference wasn't in the experience. It was in the mindset. It was in what you told yourself about what happened. That's how powerful your thoughts are. They can either trap you or free you. They can either build you up or break you down. Am I supposed to lie? And the most dangerous limits are the ones you don't even question anymore. You say things like, that's just the way I am, not realizing that's a thought you've repeated so many times it became your identity. But identity is not fixed. It's formed. It's shaped by what you continue to believe, speak, and act on. So if your current mindset built the walls around your potential, it also means you have the power to tear them down. You don't need anyone else to give you permission. You don't need someone to rescue you. You need to look those limiting beliefs in the face and call them out for what they are. Lies. You need to stop agreeing with the voice in your head that says you'll never make it, and start replacing it with a new voice that says, watch me. You have to take responsibility for your thoughts, because the same way they've held you back, they can also push you forward. You can rewire your mind to believe in possibilities again. You can feed your thoughts with truth, with strength, with vision. And when you do that consistently, something starts to shift. The things you used to avoid, you start leaning into. The opportunities you once felt unqualified for, you start pursuing with courage. The version of you that was buried under fear starts rising. Every time you choose to believe a new thought, you crack the wall that's been surrounding your potential. Every time you challenge a limiting belief, you take back territory in your mind. And the freedom you're looking for doesn't start with changing your environment. It starts with changing your thinking. You're not waiting on a miracle. You're not waiting on a breakthrough. You're waiting on a mindset shift. Victory doesn't start when you win the race, sign the deal, or get the recognition. Victory starts long before any of that happens. It begins in your mind, in the quiet moments when no one's watching, when it's just you and your thoughts. That's where the real fight takes place. Because before anything happens in the physical world, it has to happen mentally. You don't achieve the goal and then become confident. You build the confidence first, and then the goal becomes achievable. If your mind isn't strong, your actions will always fall short. You can't fight a war in the world and lose the one in your head and expect to win. It doesn't work like that. Every time you step into a challenge, your thoughts are the first to arrive on the battlefield. They determine whether you step in with fear or with faith, whether you hesitate or move boldly, whether you retreat or advance. Your body will follow whatever your mind believes. That's why you can have all the talent in the world and still fail if your mindset is weak. That's why you can have fewer resources, less experience, and more obstacles and still win if your mindset is solid. Because the person who believes they can will always outlast the one who only hopes they can. When you lose in your mind, you stop trying for the real test even begins. You doubt yourself. You second guess your choices. You sabotage your progress because deep down, you don't believe you can handle what's on the other side of success. That's what fear does. It whispers that you're not ready, not enough, not built for this. And the more you entertain those thoughts, the more power you give them. You start shrinking your goals to match your insecurities instead of expanding your belief to match your potential. But the opposite is also true. When you win mentally, you walk differently. You prepare differently. You speak differently. You don't need external validation to keep going because you've already validated yourself. You've already decided that failure won't define you, that obstacles won't stop you, and that fear won't silence you. And that decision, that internal shift makes you unstoppable. Because now it doesn't matter what comes your way. Your mindset is ready. Your thoughts are aligned with your mission. That's what separates the average from the elite. It's not talent. It's not luck. It's mental toughness. Am I supposed to lie? It's the ability to stay locked in when everything around you is screaming for you to quit. It's the discipline to keep believing in your vision when no one else sees it. It's the strength to stand firm when your emotions are pulling you in the opposite direction. You have to train your mind just like you train your body. You have to build it, test it, stretch it, and reinforce it daily. Because when the pressure comes, you won't rise to the level of your dreams. You'll fall to the level of your mental preparation. Your thoughts are not just passing ideas. They are seeds, and what you plant in your mind grows into habits, decisions, and eventually your entire life. That's why guarding your thoughts isn't just a motivational phrase. It's survival. It's protection. It's preparation. The mind is constantly under attack, not just by the world, but by your past, your insecurities, your environment, and your own voice. And if you don't learn how to take control of your thinking, life will keep controlling you. Your emotions will keep controlling you. Every situation, every opinion, every failure will hijack your peace because you didn't build a wall around your mind. That's why your thoughts matter so much. They are the blueprint of your future. You can be focused 1 minute and discouraged the next, not because something major happened, but because a single negative thought slipped through your mental gate. It told you're not progressing fast enough. It told you're not as good as them. It told your past is too messy to create a future that's meaningful. And the problem is, you didn't just hear it. You started believing it. You let it take root. And once that root settles in, it starts growing into your language, your energy, your expectations. That's how your thoughts begin to shape your world without you even realizing it. Every day is a battle to protect your peace, protect your confidence, and protect your purpose. And that battle starts with what you allow into your mind. Some of you are trying to live a powerful life, but your thoughts are soft. You're trying to win, but you're letting negative idea lie rent-free in your head. You let fear speak louder than faith. You let doubt speak louder than vision. And the problem isn't just that the thought showed up. The problem is you didn't confront it. You didn't kick it out. You let it stay. And now it's building a home. You have to be intentional. You have to be aggressive. You have to be the gatekeeper of your mind. When a thought comes in that doesn't align with your purpose, or your goals, or your identity, you don't negotiate with it. You shut it down. You speak against it. You remind yourself who you are and where you're going. You replace lies with truth. Because every time you let a thought in, you're giving it permission to influence how you feel, how you act, and how you live. Mental discipline is not optional if you want to live at a high level. You can't build something great with a weak mindset. You can't lead with clarity if your thoughts are chaotic. You can't step into your calling if your thoughts are pulling you back into comfort. So you've got to train your thinking like your life depends on it. Because it truly does. What you think about consistently is what you become. What you focus on is what grows. If you want a better life, it starts with better thoughts. Your mind is the master key. If your thoughts can build walls, they can also build bridges. The only thing standing between where you are and where you're meant to be is what you believe is possible. Change your thoughts, and you'll change your world.